Great. So when we talk about price elasticity of supply, basically we're talking about the responsiveness of firms to a change in price. So not only consumers that respond to price change, firms do respond to price changes too. So let's go down. What is price elasticity of supply? When the price of goods changes, the amount supplied will also change. However, the size of the change in supply is not likely to be the same for all products. For example, they make the example, which I'm not going to dwell into. So what they are saying is this: there's going to be a change in price. And as soon as there's a change in price, it is important for firms or producers to respond to that change in price. Either to increase, either to increase it or to reduce the supply. So what is price elasticity of supply itself? Is the degree of responsiveness between the quantity supplied of a product as a result of a change in price. Clear, right? Great. So here we have PES. We have a steep one and a flatter one. I think you can see it. For SA, it's steep, and for SB, it's flatter. So if it is steep, it is inelastic. If it is flatter, it's elastic. I think that point is clear. So we'll go on. Inelastic supply. Are you there? Okay. They said okay, when we talk about inelastic supply, because it's about case study and we're not in the case study. So when we talk about inelastic supply, it means there is no significant change in the quantity supplied as a result of a change in price. The price has changed, but the change in the quantity supply is just little.
Simple.
So, not that much. A slight change in the quantity supply. There's a change. Normally with supply, as soon as price changes, especially if price increases, producers want to supply more. But if they are unable to supply more as a result of this change in price, it is inelastic. Inelastic is clear, right? Great. The example is there. So this is inelastic supply anyway. I think you know the graph when you see it. Great. So we go to calculating the value of price elasticity of supply. Are you there? So it's percentage change in the quantity supplied over percentage change in price. It's the same formula as PED, but you just have to change quantity demanded to quantity supplied. Is it clear? Shall we move on? Now, as soon as we calculate, we have to interpret, yes or no? Great. So what the interpretation is this: if the value of the PES is less than 1, it means inelastic. Then from 0.1 to 0.9, it's inelastic. Interpretation of the PES. If the PES is less than 1, from 0.1 to 0.9, it is inelastic. If the PES is greater than 1, it is elastic. If it is 0, it is perfectly inelastic. If it is to infinity, that means 5, 7, and the rest, it is perfectly elastic. Perfectly elastic. And if it is equal to 1, that means it passes through the slope of the supply curve. It is unitary. It divides it into 2, quantity supply and price. It divided it into 2. So it is unitary. Is it clear? So we'll move on. So price elasticity and the slope of the supply curve, that's the slope. So are you there? Okay. A perfectly inelastic supply curve is vertical. If it is vertical, it means you cannot change it. So it's inelastic. Vertical, is inelastic. Vertical is inelastic. If it is perfectly elastic, horizontal. If it is horizontal, this is horizontal, it is elastic. Then, if it is unitary, it passes through the slope. Look at it here. It passes through the origin. It passes through it. There's S1 and S2. So it passes through both.
So it's going to have a point where both of them.
It passes through the point. There's S1, there's vertical, there's horizontal. So the straight line that passes, the supply curve that passes through both horizontal and vertical is called unitary. Is it clear? Any question about that? We'll move on. Factors influencing PES. Are you there? So we're talking about the factors that might make supply to change or to remain or to change, either to increase or to decrease. Thank you. So if producers have easy access to the first one is factors of production. Factors of production are resources that we use in production of goods and services. Factors of production are resources used in the production of goods and services. So if we have access to factors of production like raw materials, land, labor, capital, enterprise, if we have access to them, if there's a change in the quantity supply, we will be able to produce more as a result of that. Do you get the point, please?
Yeah.
So we'll go to factors influencing the price elasticity of supply. The first one is factors of production. When we talk about factors of production, we're talking about resources that help in the production of goods and services. So how does it have impact or effect on price elasticity of supply? So as soon as there's a change in price, for example, an increase in price, without factors of production, we cannot produce further. So having access to factors of production will help us to produce more goods and services.
Yeah.
So if we are able to produce more goods and services, it is price elastic. Do you get it?
Yeah.
So accessibility to factors of production will bring about price elasticity, it will bring about elasticity. So that means the supply of the product will be price elastic. But if we don't have access to factors of production, then it will be inelastic. The price has changed, but we don't have access to factors of production that we need to produce further goods and services. Is it clear? The second one, availability of stocks. Producers can hold stocks of goods. If producers can hold stocks of goods, producers that can hold stocks of goods can respond quickly to price changes. So price supply will be elastic. Stocks, inventory. If you have the ability to keep a lot, as soon as price changes, you can respond to that changes by changing the price because you have it already. But if you cannot hold stock, if you don't have the capacity to hold stocks, then whatever happens to price, you don't even have the product.
Yeah.
So having the product available allows you to respond to change in price. Is it clear?
Yeah.
That's the second one. The third one, spare capacity. So it says supply will be more elastic if producers have spare capacity. With spare capacity, producers have the ability to produce more with their resources. So when we talk about spare capacity, we're talking about having warehouse, having more equipment, more machinery. When you have these things, if there's a change in price, you can quickly respond by producing more. So with spare capacity, you can respond to change in price. But without spare capacity, how do you want to produce further? Oh, there's an increase in price in the market, but you don't have workers available to increase the output. Or you don't have big equipment or big machinery to increase the output. Will you be able to increase the output? No. So that means without spare capacity, the PES is inelastic. Is it clear?
Yeah.
And the third one, the fourth one, right? Time. Thank you.
Yeah.
The speed with which producers can react to price changes in the market can affect PES. So the time with which we can respond to changes in price can also have effect with price elasticity. So basically what we're talking about is if we don't have, in a short time, things are easier to do, or things are difficult to change. But in the long term, things are easy to change because in the long term, all things are variable, all resources are, all factors of production are variable. Do you understand? So if there's a change in price in the market right now, and you are able to produce right now, then it is elastic. But if there's a change in price in the market and you cannot, what we're saying is the product you produce, it's not something that you can easily produce. It takes time to produce them. Then it will be price inelastic. Do you get the point here? If the product is quickly to be produced, or it can be quicker to produce, then it is price elastic. But if it is not, it is inelastic. Is it clear? That's the point about that. So we go to PS for manufactured and primary products. Okay, I think this will explain it better. For manufactured products, I said it already. For manufactured products, if the products that, okay, for example, this pen, if it doesn't take us too long to produce a pen, if the price of pen increases, we can produce more. it is elastic. But if it takes us months to produce, for example, cars, if the price of cars increases in the market, it takes time to produce cars. So it is inelastic. Gold, diamond, whatever happens to the price right now, you won't get it immediately. It takes time. Do you understand? So if it takes time to produce, it is inelastic. If it does not take time to produce, it is price elastic. Is it clear? Any question about that? So go to the multiple choice question. The first one. What is the value of price elasticity of supply for a straight line supply curve that passes through the origin? One, yes, thank you. Question two. The price of a product rises by 12%. As a result, producers increases amount supplied by 18%. What is PES? Your pen, please. The paper, please. Let me do that for you. Paper. Thank you. So we said PES is percentage change in QS over percentage change in price, right? Yes or no? Okay. So we have the quantity supplied. 18, right? Yeah. 18 over 12. Yeah. So 18 divided by 12 is what? Raise your calculator. Use your phone, please. 18 divided by 12. Yes, please. I think 1.5. Okay, so it's 1.5 C. Is it clear? Yeah. So it's percentage change in quantity demanded over percentage change in price. So we're done with that chapter, right? We'll move on to the next chapter. Yes. So we go to income elasticity. For income elasticity, we're talking about a change as a result of a change in the level of income that brings about more consumption. Do you get the point here? So let's go down and say. What is income elasticity of demand? That's YED. We call it YED. So income elasticity of demand is the degree of responsiveness between the quantity demanded of a product as a result of a change in the level of income. The degree of responsiveness between the quantity demanded of a product as a result of a change in the level of income. That is income elasticity. Do you get the point? So the formula for income elasticity is the same. Percentage change in the quantity demanded over percentage change in the level of income. So it is YED equals to Q2 minus Q1 over Q1 divided by Y2 minus Y1 over Y1. Do you get it? That's YED. Any question about that? So we'll move on. That's calculating it. So the interpretation now. The values calculated shows whether demand is income elastic or income inelastic. They all show something about the nature of the goods. That's the calculation for this. Let me quickly go back to the calculation so you can understand. Yeah, they said for product A, in the example above, income elasticity of demand would be 22.5. So we have income elasticity to be 2.5 for a product there. And for product B, we have 0.5. So now, how do we use these values? They said, based on the values, whether demand is income elastic or income inelastic, they all showed something about the nature of the goods, in addition to how demand changes in response to changing incomes. So when we have to interpret income elasticity, it's different from the way we interpret price elasticity of demand and supply. For income elasticity, income is linked to goods if the goods are normal or inferior. Do you understand? So the first thing they want us to link with is necessities. So how do we react? How do we respond when we need to buy a product or a good that is necessary? Does a low income stop us from buying, or does it? Okay, that's the point. So whatever happens with our income, in as much as the product is a necessity, we would have to buy it, like food, like water, like clothing. It's important. So let's see for necessities here. necessities are basic goods that consumers need to buy. Examples include food in general, electricity, and water. Demand for this type of goods will be income inelastic. So for the basic necessities, the demand for them are always income inelastic. So no matter what happens to our level of income, we tend to buy them. Do you understand? That's the point there. Then we go to luxury goods. For luxury goods, it is definitely income elastic. So if our income level increases, we buy. If our income level falls, we don't. That is for luxury. Clear? And why do we call them discretionary expenses? They are discretionary expenses because we only buy them if we have if we can afford them. If we can't afford them, that's why it's luxury. It's for those who can afford it. So it's not like putting a gun on your head to buy. Nobody's going to put you on duress to buy. So that's why it's discretionary. I think it's clear. So go to normal goods. Yeah, for normal goods, as soon as our level of income increases, the goods, the products, the services that comes to our mind that we want to buy are normal goods. Then for inferior goods, as soon as our level of income falls, those goods that come into our mind that we want to buy are always inferior goods. Do you get it? Yeah. So as soon as both of them would change the level of income, normal goods will make it positive, inferior goods will make it negative. Yeah. Is it clear? Yeah. Any question about that? Yeah. So we'll move on. Price elasticity and businesses. Price elasticity can provide useful information for businesses. For example, it can help firms predict the effect of a price change on total revenue. When a firm changes its price, there will be a change in the quantity demanded and therefore a change in total revenue. It will be useful for the firm to know what effects a particular price change might have on total revenue. The value of price elasticity can help here. So, what they are telling us, what they want us to understand is the usefulness of price elasticity. So, why is price elasticity useful for businesses? It allows businesses to know the value of that change in respect to the total revenue. So, we calculate our price elasticity of demand and supply. So, especially for demand, when we calculate it, it will be based on estimate, right? Yeah. Oh, our PED is 0.5. So if our PED is 0.5, we can increase the price of the product. Customers will still buy because it is inelastic. And it's inelastic. So if we increase the price of the product at that time, our total revenue will increase. So it allows you to know, to take decision about increasing your product, the price of your product, or reducing the price of your product. Is it clear? Yes. Are you sure, please? Yes. All right. So we'll move on. So it's still the same here. I explained it already. So we go to income elasticity and business. Are you there? Okay. For income elasticity and businesses, they said many firms will be interested in income elasticity of demand. This is because changes in income in the economy may affect demand for their products. If firms know the income elasticity of demand for their products, they can respond to predicted changes in income. So manufacturers are flexible resources and can switch from production of one good to another. For example, manufacturer of, are you there?
For example, manufacturing plastic.
Yeah. So for businesses, they're always, income elasticity is important for them too, because they want to predict how the level of income will change over time. Because if level of income changes, it's going to affect what they sell to. If income level increases, disposable income will increase. If income level falls, disposable income will fall. So businesses, it's important to them too. They want to get information about this. They are interested to know how income is going to increase or fall over time. Do you understand the point they are making there? Okay. So that's about, so the last paragraph. Also, firms that produce goods that are income inelastic. So, well, basically, let me just put it this way for you. For it's income elastic, it's income inelastic. So if your demand, if the products you sell are normal goods, that means as soon as income level increases, they will buy more of your goods. So you only produce those goods when you predicted or when you understand that the level of income is going to increase in the economy. But if the products you sell is income elastic, if it is income elastic, then it means a fall in income would reduce the quantity, the quantity demanded. A rise in income will increase the quantity demanded. But if it is income inelastic, whatever happens to it, people would buy. Do you understand? Is it clear, please? Okay, then we'll move on. So we'll go to price elasticity and the government. Are you there? Government often raises revenue by imposing indirect taxes such as value-added tax and excise duty on products. It is important for government to select products that have inelastic demand. This is because consumers will avoid heavily taxed products if demand for them is elastic. Therefore, government targets goods that are either necessities or have few substitutes. However, most governments do not target goods such as food and water, which are essential to human survival. Popular targets for governments when imposing taxes are cigarettes, alcohol, and petrol. Demand for these products is very price inelastic. So for government takes decisions too. But if government has to take decision, government will not take decision on products that are price elastic. They won't. They won't take decision about products that are price elastic or products that are necessities. Because these products, whatever happens, people will tend to buy them. So if it is price elastic, if it's a product that is priced, product that is priced inelastic, government will take taxes on them because these products, no matter what happens to them, people will buy. But most of the time, government will charge taxes on these products because they are mostly demerit goods. Do you get the point here? If the product is priced inelastic and it is not a necessity, it's price elastic or price inelastic and it's not a necessity, government will charge taxes on it. Like cigarettes, alcohol, tobacco, petrol. Yeah, it's for if you have a car, you can't be poor and have a car. Do you understand? So no matter what the price of fuel, the pump price is, those that have cars will still buy. So it is price inelastic. Do you understand? So for these goods, government could increase taxes. That's why government of countries takes away subsidy from petrol. Because they know it's for the rich. It's not food. It's not water. It's not electricity.
It's transport.
It's transport, yes. But it's for those who are rich.
Who have money.
Who can.
Who can spend money.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So that's what they're trying to let us know here. So government will take decisions, but before government takes decisions, government has to understand how elastic and inelastic the goods that they want to tax on are. Do you understand? That's government decision about. So if government is charging tax, government will not take taxes on goods that are price elastic, because those goods, the price, as soon as the price increases, consumers will stop buying. So if they stop buying, how will government make revenue from them? Do you understand?
Yeah.
So goods that are price elastic, government wouldn't try to put or increase taxes on them. But goods that are inelastic and are not necessities, government will take taxes on them. Is it clear?
Yeah.
So go to subsidies. So for subsidies, government might also consider PED when granting a subsidy to producers. The effect of the subsidy is to move the supply curve to the right. So I told you earlier, I said government will take taxes, will increase taxes on goods that they feel they are demerit goods or goods that are for the rich, so that the demand or the supply, or so that the demand will reduce. Do you get it? So same goes to subsidies. When government gives subsidies, government is a financial help from government. So if government is giving subsidy, government is doing that to increase the productive capacity of the economy. So the government wants to increase output. So to encourage output, to increase output, government must help financially. Do you understand? So that is the point they are making here. So government will consider price elasticity of demand whenever they want to grant subsidy. Is it clear? So they said, if the subsidy is designed to help the poor by making the good cheaper, it is important that demand is priced inelastic. Do you get it? For example, necessities like food, clothing, water, electricity, their price is inelastic. So whatever the price is, we will still buy.
Yeah.
So government might give subsidy on those products. Is it clear?
Yes.
Any question about that? So go to the multiple choice question. Which of the following shows the income elasticity of demand for an inferior goods? Inferior.
Mm.
Yeah, negative.
Yeah.
The PDT of a product is minus 2.4. What will happen if the price of this product is increased by 10%? The price elasticity of demand for a product is negative 2.4. What will happen if the price of this product is increased by 10%?
Total revenue will fall.
Because it is price elastic. So if the product is price elastic and you increase the price, the total revenue will fall. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Any question about it?
No.
So we're done with chapter 10.
Yeah.
We'll go to mixed economy. Why do we call it mixed economy? We call it mixed economy because it combines both the capitalist and the free, the capitalist and the planned economy. That means the free market and the planned economy. That makes it mixed. So when we talk about the planned economy, we're talking about government, and the capital or the free market, we're talking about private sectors. So a mixed economy combines both the private and the public sector. Okay. Let's go down. The public and the private sectors. An economy is a system that attempts to solve the basic economic problem. That's what an economy is, a country. So what does the country do? To solve the problem of scarcity. So decision makers in an economy have to decide what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. In any economy, goods and services may be provided by the public sector or the private sector. In the private sector, individuals or groups of individuals are free to set up businesses and supply goods and services to anyone who wants to buy them. In the public sector, a range of organizations such as government departments, public corporations, and other agencies provide services that are often supplied inefficiently by the private sector. Examples include healthcare, education, and defense. Most public sector services are provided free by states and paid for from tax revenue or government. So we said an economy is a system that is trying to solve the basic economic problem. Now, the problem of the economy is scarcity, right? The problem of the economy is scarcity. So if there's scarcity, we need allocation of resources. So the system must allocate resources. So we now have to think, who are those in the system that will allocate these resources? Are we going to allocate these resources to the private sector or to the public sector? So for allocation of resources, it means we want to decide on what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce to. These are what allocation is about. So if the private sector determines or decides on these economic questions, then it is a free market. If the public sector decides on these three economic questions, then it is a planned economy. So if both of them have to come together to decide what to produce, how to produce, from whom to produce to, it's a mixed economy. Is it clear? So go on. Now, the private sector organization itself. Ownership and control. Goods and services in this sector are provided by businesses that are owned and controlled by individuals or groups of individuals. In many countries, most consumers goods such as groceries and consumer durables, like those shown before. Whatever it is, durables are things that can last longer when you buy them. You buy them now, you can consume them for as long as possible. That's durables, okay? So in the private sector, ownership could be from the sole trader, from partnership, from companies. These are what ownership is about in the private sector. So we're starting with the sole trader. Who's the sole trader? An individual who set up a business, who controls and owns the business, just him or her. That's a sole trader. I think it's clear. The partnership. This means 2 to 20 people are coming together with the aim of making profits. That's why they are starting the business. Then we have companies like private limited companies or public limited companies. Here, they are owned and controlled by shareholders. So they could be part of the private sector. Clear?
Yeah.
So in most countries, private sector businesses are relatively small and include only sole trader partnerships and small companies. The minority of businesses are large but contribute enormously to the provision of goods and services. Some are multinationals, which means they have factories and other operations all over the world. Most of the countries, especially developing countries, yeah, they don't have large businesses. They have small businesses that they are still in operations, but they are not that big. But for developed economies, you have multinationals. So these multinationals They contribute so much into the economy also. Employment, output, and so on. So what are the aims of all these private sector businesses? One, survival. So when we talk about survival means continuous operation. No matter what happens, we still want to be part of the operations.
So the operation wouldn't close.
Close. They don't want to shut down. So there are two situations towards this. One, for firms that are newly established, they can't, they are newly established firms. They need to gain the trust of customers. Yes or no? So no customers, there are no customers in heaven, all the customers are here. So if you are starting a new business, it means you want to jostle with customers around from the existing businesses. You want to get customers from the existing businesses. That is not easy. Yeah, it's not an easy task. So it's going to take time. So the only thing you could do presently as a new business is to try to be consistent, to at least be part, to still be in operations. Your objective is to continue being in operation, not about profit. At least to gain the trust of customers. For you to gain the trust of customers, you need to be consistent. It's not opening the shop today, closing it tomorrow. You get it?
Yes.
And survival can also come back to, survival can also be be linked to existing businesses, especially when there is economic downturn. The economy is going in decline, things are not moving well, COVID, things like that. When these things happen, when there's economic decline, income level would fall. So businesses would switch their aims. Instead of thinking about expansion, profitability, they start thinking about survival. So not only new businesses that will think about survival, existing businesses might also think about survival, especially when the economy is not in good shape. Is survival clear?
Or if there's other rising businesses, but that also too.
If other businesses are coming in,
Um,
no. If new businesses are coming in, it's because there's profit in the environment, because there's profit in the industry. No. So the next one is profit maximization. When you talk about profit maximization, here we're talking about making as much profit as possible. That's another aim of private sector businesses. So how do they do this? They do this by maybe reducing their cost of production or selling at the highest price possible in the market. Clear? So one of the reasons, another reason why businesses or private sector businesses, especially companies, wants to make as much profit as possible is because they have to pay dividends to their shareholders. Now, if you have to pay dividends to shareholders, if you are not making so much profit, the dividends you pay will be less. Shareholders will not be happy if their dividend is little. Is it clear?
It's part of a
Share of profits to shareholders. Profit distribution to shareholders. Clear?
I just want to.
Yeah, is it fine? So another objective is, or aim is growth, expansion. So in the private sector, they might also aim at expanding their business locally or internationally. That's growth. Is it clear?
Yeah.
For social responsibility, we're talking about thinking more of stakeholders than shareholders.
Yeah.
Do you get it or not?
Yeah.
When businesses think more of stakeholders, which includes shareholders, not just thinking about shareholders, that means the business is socially responsible.
Yeah.
They are ethical. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Ownership. Now we go to the public sector. Ownership and control. What does the public sector mean? A business that is controlled by government. Great. So when we talk about government, we have the central government, that's the central, that's the federal. They control defense, health sector, education, and the rest. Then we have the municipalities too. The municipality, they are part of government too. They control the local education and the rest. That's government businesses. People work there, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. We have public corporations. Public corporations or state-owned enterprises. These are businesses these are government enterprises too, but government employ or government employs people to hold it. So they are directed by government appointees. Is it clear? I'm having a situation here. So for local authority services, like the municipality, I explained them already. The municipality, so they take charge of the community. That's it. And other government agencies, like the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of, they are also businesses.
Yeah.
Clear? Yeah. All right, we'll move on. Now go to types of economy, right? Types of economy. Or is there anything I'm missing?
No, still have aims of public sector organization.
Oh, it's missing too.
Yeah.
So what are the aims of public sector organization? The first one, services.
No, it's improving the quality of services.
Yeah, services. So let me just start with the first one. Services. When we talk about services, government aims are to improve services because they don't think about making profits. They want the environment, they want the society to be a better place for individuals. So how do they do this? They want to ensure that education quality is improved. They want to ensure that healthcare services are improved. That is what services is about. Yeah. Is it clear? The second point.
Minimizing costs.
Government also wants to try to ensure that their cost of production for whatever they do is reduced. How are they going to be able to do this? They'll be able to do this by ensuring that whatever they cannot efficiently produce, they hand it over to the private sector. You get the point? The next one.
Allow for social costs and benefits.
So, if government has to take decision, they don't just take decision. They don't take decision because of their own interest. They take decision on based on the society interest. So they put into consideration the cost to the society and the benefits to the society. Do you get my point? So what we're saying is this. For example, government wants to build road. If government wants to build road now, like a new road, the first thing government will put into consideration is this road, how important is it to the society? What are the problems this road would cause over time? So government will put into consideration the social cost and social benefit before taking decision. Unlike private firms, they only consider the private cost. They don't care about the external cost or the society cost. Is it clear? The next one.
Profits, in some countries, the government...
Profits, colon, right? Colon, okay.
In some countries, the government owns a number of large businesses that aim to make a profit.
Yeah, like the Emirates. Okay. So there are some businesses that are owned by government, but these businesses they are into commercial activities. And if you are into commercial activities, you want to make profits. It's owned by government, but the services they go into are about commercials. So if they are commercials, then they want to make profits. Clear?
Now touch on it.
Okay, great. Thank you. So go to types of economy. Different economies have different approaches to providing goods and services. The type of economy used to choose, produce, and distribute goods varies according to the role played by the public sector. There are three types of economy. We have the capitalist, the planned, and the mixed economy. We talked about it already. So a market of free enterprise economy. For a market economy, resource allocation, what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce to is done strictly by the private firms with little or no government intervention. Clear? Yeah. Command or planned economy. For a planned or command economy, resource allocation is done by government. What to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce to is decided by government. Clear? Yeah. The mixed economy is a combination of both the public and the private sector. Any question about that? So what to produce? They said a mixed economy recognizes that some goods such as consumer goods are best provided by the private sector. Goods such as food, clothes, leisure and entertainment and households services are best chosen by consumers. So the market ensures that business produce the consumer goods that people want. Other goods such as education, street lighting. Education is a merit good anyway. street lighting, roads, merit goods,
Oh,
education, yeah?
mhm.
And do you know what merit goods are? These are goods that without government intervention, we cannot all consume them.
Without,
Without government intervention, we all cannot consume them. Example is education, school. Just imagine there's no public schools. There are no public schools. A lot of people will not be educated. It is
yeah,
only for those who can afford the private schools. Did you get it?
yeah, thank you.
Anytime. So the public sector tends to provide goods that the private sector might fail to provide in sufficient quantities. So government will intervene. This is government intervention. So government will intervene because the private sector failed to provide the quantities needed. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So that's what to produce. So the society, the economy would understand what is needed to produce and get it produced.
Yeah.
If the private sector cannot do it all, the public sector would intervene to ensure that everybody can consume.
Yeah.
Clear? How to produce? Now that we've taken the decision on what we want to produce. How are we going to get it produced? Are we going to produce it locally or we have to import it? This is the process of production. So that is how to produce. Decisions have to be taken on the process of production. Is it clear? Then for whom to produce to? Now that we have decided on what to produce, we understand the process to produce them. Who are those that are going to be benefiting from this production? That is for whom to produce to. Is it clear? So we go to market failure and the need for government intervention. Are you there?
Yep.
For market failure, basically we're talking about the inefficiency of the free market to provide us with goods and services. That is market failure. Do you understand what I just said here? Inefficiency of the free market. Inefficiency of the market forces of demand and supply to provide us or produce goods and services that we demanded.
Yeah.
That is market failure. So if there's market failure, then there should be government intervention. So that is what they're talking about here. So also market failure could be when social cost exceeds social benefits. The cost to the society is more than the benefit to the society based on the action or inaction of firms, based on the action or inaction of people, based on the action or inaction of government.
Yeah.
Clear?
Yeah.
So we go to externalities. That's the first one. And when we talk about externalities, we're talking about external cost.
These are the reasons.
Yes, for market failure. These are examples of market failure. Externalities, that's external cost. So if there's external cost, that means external cost exceeds the private cost. Then it's a market failure. You took the action. Then I am paying for that action.
Yeah.
It's an external cost.
Sorry.
Yeah. It's an externality, it's external cost the same. Clear?
Yeah.
Lack of competition. Example, monopoly. Monopoly is a market failure because it gives consumers no chance to choose. And
Gives them one power.
it gives businesses the power to do whatever they want to do. Monopoly. So if there's no competitiveness, lack of competitiveness or lack of competition in the market brings about market failure.
Yeah.
Because without competition, it means whatever price you call, we buy. Whatever products you have, we buy. We lack it. Do you know what I'm saying or not?
Yeah.
Market failure will happen if there's external cost.
Yeah.
Market failure will happen if there's no competition in the market. Oh, there's only one school in Tripoli International School, for example. That's a market failure. It's going to charge a higher tuition fee. We're not all going to be able to go there because of space. That's market failure.
Yeah.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
Missing markets. It says some goods and services called public goods are not provided by the private sector. Examples include national defense, policing, street lighting. The nature of these goods are discussed. That takes us to the merit goods there. Merit goods here. Education and healthcare are under provided by the private sector. This is because they are so expensive that many people would not be able to afford them. So in the missing market is this. The private sector, this is how the private sector works. They want to provide goods and services in as much as you can afford them. the private sector understand that consumers are not going to pay for such goods, they would not want to provide them.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Example is street lights. So if a private sector business makes street lights, who is going to pay for it? Can they stop anybody from using it? No. That's what we call free rider problem.
Mhm.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So because of the free rider problem, government must intervene. Government is the only system that would not put you into duress for using the street lights.
Yeah.
It's for the society.
Mm.
So that is what they are saying about the missing market. So some things are to be done, but the private sector would never want to do them because it is not profitable for them.
It does not benefit them. Okay.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
Lack of information. That's information gap. Are you with me?
Mhm.
Lack of information, that's information gap. So information gap is a market failure because it means there's asymmetric information. You have more information than I do. So the firms have more information than the customers. So because as a result of that, we might be taking decisions that would underestimate or overestimate our welfare benefits.
Yeah.
So information gap is a market failure. So government must intervene. So how will government intervene to close this gap in information? Government might come up with advertisements to promote information about things that people need to know about. Example, the consumption of cigarettes. Smokers are liable to die young. Maybe those smokers do not even know. They lack information regarding the consequence of smoking.
Yeah.
So government might invest on adverts, promotion, publicity.
They have adverts on, the cigarettes, the boxes, they have adverts on.
I know, but some people might not be able to read, right?
Yeah.
So government have to come up with different ways to pass this information that they might think is missing. That is information gap.
Okay.
Factor immobility. If factors of productions are immobile, that means they cannot be easily converted to something else, then there will be market failure. So if land cannot be switched to something else, we can only use land for this, we can't use land for that. We can only use capital for this, we can't use capital for that. If there's no flexibility in factors of production, then there's market failures. Is it clear?
Yeah.
So that's the point about that. Then we'll go to the role of the private sector. But before we go into the role of private sector, I think you understand the point now.
Yeah.
Okay, clear. So we'll go to the role of private sector now. So go to the role of private and public sector in the production of goods and services. In most countries, the private sector is responsible for providing the everyday goods and services bought by people. This would include food and so on. We don't need those stories. However, the next paragraph. However, the public sector tends to provide public services. In particular, it focuses on the provision of public and merit goods. So let's put it this way. The private sector will provide consumables. The public sector, the government will provide services, especially the merits and public goods. We call them public goods because they are non-excludable and they are non-rivaled. We call them merit goods because if government do not provide them, the private sector would not provide enough for us. They are clear, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. The note here is just about non-excludability and non-rivalry, which explains the characteristic of a public good. So it is non-excludable. This means that the public good is, as soon as the public good is provided in the market, any individual cannot be prevented or excluded from consuming it. So a public good is non-excludable. In as much as it's being provided, you cannot stop me from consuming it. You cannot exclude me. You cannot exclude anyone from consuming it. That is non-excludability. Do you get that?
Yeah.
For non-rivalry, this means the consumption of a public good by one individual cannot reduce the amount available to others. So it is non-rivalrous if it's a public good and it's non-rivalrous because if you consume it, it doesn't stop the quantity I can consume.
Yeah.
Street lights. You pass by, I pass by, it's still there.
Mm.
So you can't stop me from passing by.
Yeah.
And it doesn't reduce the quantity of light we see through electricity because you passed or I passed.
Like traffic lights.
Yeah, the traffic light, a street light, road, all these things. So they are public goods because they are non-excludable and they are non-rivalrous. Do you understand what non-excludable means?
Yeah.
Non-excludable means as soon as it's being produced, you cannot stop anybody from consuming it. Non-rivalrous means your consumption does not reduce my consumption. Are they clear? Please, you have to understand non-excludability and non-rival.
Yeah.
Clear? Okay, so we go on. Then we have the free rider. So government have to provide public goods because of market failure. If the private sector were to provide public goods, there would be a free rider. I explained the free rider already. So the free rider problem occurs because certain individuals want to benefit from what they do not contribute into. That is what a free rider is.
Yeah.
You are benefiting from what you never contributed into. So this is why, that's the reason the private sector would never want to provide goods that are to be provided by the government. Because they don't give things for free.
Yeah.
Is it clear? Yes. So a free rider is that individual that benefits from what he or she doesn't contribute into. Yeah. Clear? Yeah. Any question about that? Yeah. We'll move on. So, okay. The balance between public sector activities and private sector activity would vary in different countries. In some countries, government play a key role in the provision of key public services. And at the same time, they also own significant stakes in large commercial. We talked about this already.
Yeah,
but let me just see what the point they are trying to make up. Okay, so it's about decision regarding how we want the private sector or the public sector to provide us or produce goods and services. Some countries, they want government intervention. So other countries, they want mixed. But most of in the economy, globally now, most of the countries practices mixed economy. So I think that's the only important thing there. Go to the last point there, the last paragraph. Finally, in recent years, many economies have become more market-oriented. In many countries, the number of public corporations has been reduced. For example, in some countries, industries such as water provision, electricity, generation and distribution and telecommunication have been transferred to the private sector. That's privatization.
Well, for public sector.
Yeah, when state-owned properties, state-owned businesses are being given out or sold to the private sector. That's privatization. So that's about that. So basically, the point we have to understand here is that if the economy is not mixed, it is more market, it is more free market, but not planned. Because you know why it's not always planned? It's not always planned because there's always inefficiency within government. There's bureaucracy. Governments are not entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
They are not politicians. They are people who only understand, they're not businessmen. They only understand, they don't have knowledge about bringing A and B together to form C. They don't have this knowledge. They are not business people. They are not entrepreneurs. So they don't understand how consumer works. They don't understand how businesses work. As a result, they cannot take decisions that would be beneficial to the society. Do you understand? So they are politicians, yes, but they are not businessmen. They are not entrepreneurs. So because you are not an entrepreneur, how do you want to take the risk? They don't want to take risks. They don't. Oh, there's no money. Pumping money there, that's all. They solve the problem with money, that's it. They don't have think tank. They are not technocrats. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Any question about that?
No.
So we have the multiple choice question. Which of the following goods or services is most likely to be provided by the public sector in a mixed economy? The public sector.
Modern.
Yeah. Good. Okay.
Providing a public service.
Great. So that ends chapter 11.
That's what we do, participation,